Welcome back to Hoosier Homes and Hustles. We're kicking off a new mini-series we're calling Contracts and Coffee, because contracts go down a lot easier with caffeine. I'm Jessica Williams.
And I'm Stacy Preston. Today we're breaking down a key negotiation tool in every real estate transaction, and that's the counteroffer. We'll talk about what it is, when to use it, the risks both buyers and sellers should consider. But first, let's talk about coffee. Today we're drinking coffee from Best Friends Bagels and Coffee in Brownsburg. I love this coffee shop because it's got a lot of space to connect with people. They have mimosa flights, cold brew flights, latte flights. So you can just order all of these drinks and taste them and chat with your friends. It's great. So if you're in Brownsburg, check it out.
All right. So what is a counteroffer? It's a formal response to an offer that says, not quite, but I'm still interested. You're essentially proposing new terms.
That could mean a different purchase price, closing date, inspection period, or any other term in the contract. Once a counter is submitted, the original offer is void, up to the other party to accept, reject, or counter again.
So when is it appropriate to use a counter? Buyers and sellers both ask, should we counter or just accept? And honestly, it depends on your priorities.
Sellers might want to counter if the offer is close but not quite there. Maybe the price is off or the timeline doesn't work. But here's the thing, a counter can also be used strategically.
Right. Especially if a seller just hit the market and wants to buy a little more time to see if a stronger offer comes in. A well-timed counter keeps the conversation going without locking them in too early.
For buyers, a counter can be a great way to negotiate terms. Maybe it's getting appliances included or requesting a longer inspection period. Just remember, in a hot market, countering can sometimes open the door for the seller to go with someone else.
It's true, the risks. So let's talk about those. The biggest one, you're reopening negotiations. A counteroffer essentially wipes the original offer off the table.
Right. Sellers risk losing a motivated buyer, especially if they counter over something minor. That buyer could find another home in the meantime. Trust me, I've shown homes to buyer clients that have active offers out. They do not stop looking until that is signed.
And price is usually the most common thing sellers always ask for. This price difference really worth the risk of losing the deal, though?
Exactly. Countering over just a few $1,000s or even a few hundred can be risky, especially in a market where buyers have other options. Sometimes that small amount is better looked at as a cost of securing the deal.
And for buyers, countering can be risky for you too, even if you're just trying to get a better deal.
The bottom line, counter strategically, not emotionally. Know what's worth negotiating and what the deal could cost you.
All right, so let's go into some stories of counteroffers. It is story time. Let's talk about some real situations where counteroffers worked out and a few where they didn't.
I'll kick it off. I had a seller who once countered over $1,000. That's it. The buyer was already offering a strong price, had great financing, flexible closing, the whole package. But the seller felt like they were leaving money on the table and they didn't counter.
Let me guess.
Right. The buyer decided to make an offer on another property. So that $1,000 ended up costing my seller way more in the long run, longer time on market, and a lower offer later.
That one stings. And on the flip side, I had a buyer who was nervous about paying too close to their max budget after reviewing a seller's counter. So they countered with seller possession after closing and some favorable inspection terms and were able to agree on a lower price.
That's such a good example of using a counteroffer as a win-win tool, not a power play. You can absolutely negotiate without tanking the deal. It's just about how you frame it. And it's important to take the emotion out of the counteroffer process. When sellers have strong interest from multiple buyers, choosing not to respond can backfire. And I just had this happen. I had very well-qualified buyers who made an offer. Seller didn't respond because they were angry. It was too low, but we could have come to terms. So don't miss out on that.
And always remember the bigger picture. Is this a hill worth dying on, or is it a moment to secure the win and move forward? So the counteroffer is one of those most useful tools in a real estate contract, but it's also one of the easiest ways to lose a deal if you're not careful.
Use it to negotiate, protect your priorities, or even gain time, but always with strategy. That's the name of the game.
And that wraps up this Contracts and Coffee segment. Let us know what contract topic you would like for us to tackle next.
Until then,
let's hustle smarter
together.